Welcome, everybody, to the WREVA Electrifying News September edition 2022. With me, as always, we have Mr. Eric Stevens joining us from the Listowel area. How are you today, sir?
Fantastic, Mark. Doing great.
Enjoying the weather, I am sure. Up in Listowel, it's snowing there by now, right? Like it's almost fall, so I got to believe the snow belt's starting to get some.
Yeah. Already looking at breaking out the snowblower.
Also with us as normal, we have Mr. Ian Graham from downtown Kitchener. How are you today, sir?
Doing all right. No ice fishing yet in Victoria Park,
Nothing,
but
huh? You haven't got the
not yet.
ice picks out yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you out there in the video, wherever you are, whatever time it is, I hope you are enjoying these last great days of summer. So if you're not, get out there and enjoy. Of course, after the video, but you can get out there and enjoy some of this weather before it's gone and we're back into the winter season, which is coming. But we have some electrifying news for you today, and with that, Ian, bring up the presentation and let's get to it.
All right. First off, gonna have our friend Eric talk and tell us a little bit about this interesting deals with Canada that are happening, with Germany and VW.
Yeah. So this is an example of a couple German companies. I know recently there's been a visit from a number of German government officials coming to Canada about a number of projects, and a big portion of that was about electric vehicle supply materials and things like that. So now there's a big push in the world today to look for countries where you can find dependable rare earth elements and elements needed for electric vehicle production. And obviously Canada is top of the list for many of these things. On top of that, now with the new U.S. tax rules that are coming into effect, this is also, and because Canada is part of the new North American Free Trade Agreement, and these tax rules requiring certain amount of domestic sourced materials to qualify vehicles for that EV tax credit. Now companies are starting to line up production deals in North America to meet those qualifications. Mercedes, for example, just started production of its EQS SUV in Alabama, for example. So they'd probably be keen to get a piece of that U.S. tax pie as well, too. And so they're probably looking to line up some suppliers in North America for those types of production.
Yeah, that's not a big surprise, is it? Once we heard that tax incentive was going to be signed into law, and Canada, of course, part of North America, uh, it qualifies as local domestic U.S. So Canadian companies, mining companies, foreign groups coming in looking to build factories or supply hubs. Canada becomes a viable option to get some of these minerals and resources and even workforce. So this is something that we're going to talk about a few times tonight with a couple of the stories.
Yeah. In terms of labor aspect, this is again, I think, also part of that transition from the oil industry for the oil workers that hey, we've got some opportunities for you this way with our minerals, and we can create some jobs for you that it's great part of the transition. And of course, I'm not surprised with Volkswagen, being that they're doing more in the U.S. And liking, with this trade agreement, and it's going to help them a lot with that aspect as well. So the other quick thing too is just with Germany, and they're wanting to do hydrogen, but hydrogen created by wind turbines out in out east, Nova Scotia. And they're looking to use the hydrogen for part of their energy as well, and of course, to help end some of their reliance on Russia with their natural gas pipelines, etc. So it's interesting to see politically where some of this is kind of going. Of course, politics dictates so much of what we do and how industry kind of works, but I think it's in some good directions that this is heading to.
Definitely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, speaking of resources in Canada, Snow Lake. I've never heard of Snow Lake. It's in Saskatchewan. Is it no? Is it Saskatchewan or Manitoba?
Manitoba.
Manitoba. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
Snow Lake is a lithium mine or processing facility that's going to be used by many different EV companies as time moves on. But this again is part of those resources and minerals and labor that we were just talking about. This is another company that stands to benefit from the New Deal in the United States. That some of these resources, in this case lithium, will be able to be mined in this case Manitoba, and then applied to different manufacturers through Canada, the US, and Mexico for their EV products. So this mine was just came onto the radar that they're operating a 55,000 acre site, and that the power sources they're going to use to mine the lithium will be from hydro sources, so another green part of the equation. They believe that they'll be able to have more than 500,000 cars will run on these run on the lithium deposits they're able to pull from that particular acreage site to operate. And eventually, they believe they'll be able to produce enough of this lithium for over 5 million EVs. So this is just again another piece of the puzzle. We knew that Canada is rich in many of the different materials that are used in these batteries, especially these modern batteries: nickel, cobalt, lithium, all things that are available in the great shield across the top of Canada. So Ontario, Quebec, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, all these provinces can get a piece of this because these resources already exist, and we have a stable economy, and we also have a way of sustainably removing these minerals from the earth. And of course, we're a fair trading partner that is part of the G20. So they're all pluses for us. I see that this is probably going to propel a lot of business as time goes along.
Yeah, this is a great find, basically, and a great announcement. The location of this site is actually very strategic as well too. It's in sort of north central Manitoba. It's located really close to the rail line that runs between Winnipeg and Churchill, Manitoba. So it's there's good infrastructure to get stuff in and out of there as well too. So yeah, it's a great benefit. And as Ian was alluding to the other day too, even people who work possibly in the oil and gas industry, well, this isn't exactly the same. A number of those skills are transferable to this type of industry as well too, which could be very beneficial there as well.
Mm-hmm. Does Snow Lake have ice fishing in July? Is the question for myself.
I don't know about July there, Ian,
but you never know.
I think you have to be a little bit further north to get snow or ice fishing in July.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move along with my without my bad comedy. So Tesla, they are. We talked about this in the last podcast, and there's now more public documents that are coming about a potential Canadian factory. This is the second time that we've been kind of hearing about this. And of course, it's registry documents that they're in talks with the federal government. I'd be interested in knowing also provincially what's kind of happening that way too, because we really don't know provincially as to, is this going to be Ontario, Quebec? I have a feeling it will be potentially Ontario, and they're talking about actually permitting timelines and speeding up those timelines. In Canada. And once again, here we go, talking about the industry with jobs. This is more potential with jobs again, and that transition. So, as much as we sometimes have heard like, oh, well, the oil industry is going to be losing more and more jobs, is like, well, they're not really losing jobs. They're just making, they're changing over. that aspect of things. They're not just losing it. They're just, hey, if you're not doing this anymore, you're going to be doing that. But I think for whatever province ends up getting this, it's going to be a big thing. Having the company Tesla, doing this. I'm curious as to, is it going to be a battery plant? Is it going to be a car plant? Is it going to be something? There was also talks about them doing kind of a lithium refinery, has kind of come up in the mills as well. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this is a rumor that continues to float around, and I have a feeling we're going to hear a lot more of this because of the media that Tesla gets. I think this is going to be, we're going to hear more and more of this. I would think that Tesla, the company, they're probably weighing up options between not only provinces but countries that they're trying to say, well, who's going to offer the best incentives? Who's going to red carpet our way through the permits? All those type of things is what that company is after. They're looking for speed and delivery to get their factory up and running as quickly as possible. They had all those delays in Germany. People had told them they were going to have a lot of delays in Germany, and they certainly did. But this is something that they're trying to eliminate going further. Canada is a great place for this. Obviously, we're all biased here in this panel. But I would think that we're in good position to serve the Northeast U.S. as well as other ports, of course, in Canada. I'm not going to count my chickens before they're hatched. I'm not sure if it will be Canada. This may be just a ploy to try to get others to bump up, maybe New York State or others. But it is interesting to watch. Certainly, we're getting a lot of press on this. And I feel that over the next few weeks and months, we're probably going to get more of it.
Yeah, I think this is, well, again, this is playing on the previous stories that we've had here about, again, North American tax credits, North American materials, sourcing North American battery materials. So as a result, Tesla has to get materials from North America. And there's some they can do domestically in the United States, but only to a certain extent. If I had to guess, if I would put money down on something and somebody wanted me make me a betting man, I'm guessing this is probably going to be something like a cathode active material facility, which will be used in the production of battery cells. So similar to what GM and POSCO are doing in Quebec right now near Trois-Rivières, I think this is going to be something similar to that. And there's already a lot of talk about infrastructure going in near Kingston for this. And I think Tesla's probably going to get a piece of that. So that's my bet as to what this is going to end up being and looking like.
Well, in Germany, good sauerkraut takes a while to stew and everything, and I think Tesla found that out. Whereas in Canada, maple syrup takes a while too, but everybody loves maple syrup. Not everybody likes sauerkraut. All right. All right, let's move along.
You're just going to leave poutine alone, are you? You're not going to mention poutine.
Yeah, I could have done poutine. I think there's people who are like, you put gravy on what? And cheese? But maple syrup, everyone loves maple syrup.
Yep.
So this is interesting. With Toronto and Greater Montreal, they're looking, they're going to be getting fire trucks that are electric. And in reading about this, one thing was really interesting, some of the points they made, is that the diesel fire trucks, they got to constantly run, and the firefighters, if they're fighting fire, I think the last thing they want to be dealing with is also breathing in diesel fumes, and for the neighborhood for that matter as well, that are running everything. And now we got electric, we don't have to worry about that aspect of things. There's some safety aspects to it. But the other thing too, of course, this is a big piece of machinery, and seeing 327 kilowatts of this power is, when you think about it, it's like it's running basically 30 homes a day at 327 kilowatts. So an average home is about 30 kilowatts. So there's a lot of energy in this.
Yeah, pumping water takes a lot of energy, but at the same time, a fire truck is a near right, one of those almost ideal applications for electrification. These are vehicles that typically do not travel great distances. They're typically in urban or even semi-urban environments. They try to locate fire halls that are not too far from other locations for proper response times. So fire trucks don't put a lot of mileage on. They don't do a lot of driving. And that's actually a problem for diesel-powered fire trucks. I have a couple of my relatives are firefighters in a couple of things, and they mentioned that one of the problems they have is they actually have to go out and often drive these things a little bit of distance just to put some mileage on them. Because if they sit too much, they get maintenance issues and a whole bunch of problems with them. And that's not an issue they're going to have with an electric fire truck. Electric fire trucks don't have to go for a joyride just to clean the carbs out and get everything up and lubricated. So I see this as a potential good application for saving maintenance costs and other things as well too, on top of the issues that you've already pointed out there, Ian. So I think this is a great first step in the right direction for this as well.
Mm-hmm.
This further just kind of solidifies the move to electrification. This is yet another industry or market that is starting the electrification march. We talked about boats. We've talked about delivery trucks. Now we've got fire utility vehicles and others. Like, this is everybody that designs any type of mobility. They're all looking at electric at this point. They've always got that in their design wheelhouse, looking as to how it can benefit, what can be done, where are the positives, are there any negatives? All these industries are now converting. So it's interesting, with the amount of time that we've been around with electrification, just how quickly now everything is starting to shift and swing. Back 10 years ago, I don't know if I could have believed that in under a decade we would be at the place we're at.
Yeah, especially with fire trucks, because like Eric said, they don't go really far distances. So you're paying twice the amount of money for this unit, but it still doesn't really travel that far. It's like, it'd be interesting to know with these batteries, how far could this vehicle actually travel? Especially with the equipment that's on there, there's some weight to that as well. But as Eric also mentioned too, the maintenance costs, and if it just sits there, then that creates problems that way. It's going to make things, that twice the price is going to be, pretty soon it's going to be like, no, it's broken even basically.
Yeah, and on most sites, this thing is basically a giant diesel generator as well too.
Yeah.
So, replacing that now with just a battery for that application, that's potentially where there's a large savings there as well too.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty interesting. I noticed too that fire truck is gray, not the usual red. So
there's a problem with red paint in fire trucks, apparently. Always has been.
Huh.
That's why you see at airports, all their firefighting equipment is typically yellow.
Right. Huh. I'll have to do some research into that. Yeah. All right.
Well, our next story here is about Chevy introducing just last week the all-new Equinox EV for the 2024 model, I believe it is. So this is kind of interesting. What really, of course, struck the interest of most is seeing that introductory price of the base model. We're talking $30,000 US for 250 miles of range for their base unit. Now, the base unit isn't coming out first. They will be coming out with that a little bit later, maybe 6 months down the road. But deliveries of the mid-tier unit apparently will start about a year from today. So the fall of 2023 is when it will be introduced in both Canada and the United States. So Chevy has indicated that this vehicle is coming to market. They're not accepting reservations yet, But if you have interest in this, I would suggest you get a hold of your Chevy dealer immediately and get on some sort of list, because for 30,000 US dollars, and that it will qualify for the Canadian and American incentives, this is going to be a hot item. It is going to go fast and furious. So if they don't make as many up front at the start, I would suggest you get in line early if you want yours, because it is going to go quickly based on just the price. The unit itself, you've got basically 3 trim levels, and the options that regularly come with Chevys are, you'll notice the picture. This is probably the mid tier. It's got the dual paint. You've got a light top of white and then the blue color below. The, of course, mid version of the vehicle is going to have a little bit more range. It's going to get close to the 300-mile mark. And another piece of interest is it's going to be a standard front-wheel drive vehicle, but all-wheel drive will be available as well. Unlike the Chevy Blazer that was introduced about a month ago, this will not have a rear-wheel drive only. So it'll only be a front-wheel drive only or an all-wheel drive. So those are the options that you're going to be faced to pick when you go to order this vehicle. So think about that, but I'm excited. Again, it's a form factor that North Americans love, the small SUV. And again, based on the price, I think this is going to be a grand slam home run for Chevy when it comes to sales. All they're going to have to worry about is getting the volume of them out there to meet the demand, which I think is going to be pretty high at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, I could probably talk a long time on this vehicle, but I'll try to keep my comments short. But yeah, this is a pretty impressive vehicle. I mean, the Chevrolet Equinox is the second best-selling nameplate right now in Chevrolet's lineup, behind the Silverado. So, very important vehicle. And it appears to be, based on the reports that I've seen, this vehicle is actually slightly larger than the gas-powered Equinox it's going to be replacing. It's pretty nice. It's got also a rated tow rating that's going to be coming with at least the larger battery option that comes with this. So there's going to be 2 battery options with the vehicle. The base version will have the 400 kilometer range, and then the upper battery will have a 480 or a 440, depending on the front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive options that you're getting with it. And the impressive part here in Canada, it's going to be starting at 35,000 Canadian dollars. And the Canadian version, the base version, is actually a bit better equipped than the US version, because even the base version comes with heated seats and heated steering wheel here in Canada as well too. So it actually comes reasonably well equipped, even in its base form. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be a screaming deal that'll work for a lot of people. It's an impressive package, one that I'm seriously considering myself too. So yeah, it's a nice vehicle.
Yeah, like with Chevy, being so entrenched in Canadian sales and factories and such, Eric, they're able to play with the exchange rate a little bit, and that's why it's not a strictly 30% when it comes to sales in Canada. In this case, it's going to be lower than that 30% on our dollar.
Yeah, and there's quite a few new things they've incorporated into this car too. Now they have a heat pump with heat scavenging system. It has, battery preconditioning with its onboard navigation with automatic route planning. GM's Ultium systems using the Linux Red Hat in-car system with Google in-car services. So we'll have basically a Google EV route planning already built into it and stuff as well too. And then you can even manually precondition the battery as well too en route to a DC fast charger. So you can.
That's the other thing we should mention is charging speed. The level 2 was at 11.4.
Yes. Yeah. Basically 48 amp level 2 charging, and then the 3RS version, which is the very, very top version of this car, will have the option of a 19.2 kilowatt charger, and will have a vehicle to load option as well too on the 3RS version.
And then on the DC fast charge, I believe it can hit up to 150.
Yeah, the larger battery pack which is going to be a 10 module Ultium, which based on my rough math is going to be somewhere between 80 to 85 kilowatt hour usable, is going to be about 150 kilowatt peak.
Yeah.
Will be the DC fast charging speed for this.
Some nice features on that for sure. And I do like the two-tone blue with the white. I find that's kind of an interesting look. And just today, talking to some older friends of mine who were like, well, maybe we might actually look at an electric vehicle. And I brought this up that, you know, they have this possibility, possibly, like hopefully will coming out next year.
Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned it, but of course, this vehicle was built from the ground up. So this is
Yes.
This is a complete rehashing of the Equinox as a electric vehicle. So
Right.
it's a new version completely built for batteries.
Yeah, it has nothing in common with the gas Equinox other than name and approximate size.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this is interesting, and again, this is like we've talked about how in Canada, the last while we've been getting more and more chargers are coming about, but this is quite something. And this is Tesla. Basically, they obtained funding, and they're going to build 4 massive supercharger, including the world's largest, which is 164 supercharger hub on the I-5 corridor. And then what I find also interesting is they have the Magic Dock, which is 50% of connectors being CCS standards. So of course, Tesla's in Europe has been doing the sharing of their superchargers with other vehicle manufacturers. And it's only a matter of time, I'm sure, where we're going to be seeing that as well in North America. And this is, of course, going to be a big part of it. And they're hoping for an opening date of late 2024. So it's going to be a little while that they're going to be doing this. But again, the charging network is just increasing. And it's not just where we're getting like, oh, here's 8 stalls. Here's, you know, when Cambridge opened up, oh, here's 16 stalls. We're getting into some pretty big numbers here. So, you know, maybe the fire truck will be coming here and using, you know, 3 chargers to plug in and do up their stuff.
That would be a heck of a drive to California in a truck from Toronto or Montreal, but okay.
Hell yeah. Why? Just because.
But this is interesting that Tesla has received some funds from the California state government to put these in. So I believe there was 4 chargers total, very large. This one being the largest, 164. But there's also one on top for 100, and there's another one on top for 60, and I believe the other one was 40. So, and then the other thing that's kind of interesting that they're throwing into these chargers is that they're adding the battery maintenance part of it. So they're putting in power walls, mega packs to supplement that spike in energy that's going to be used from all these cars. They'll be able to bring some of those utility costs down if they keep some of that energy on site with solar panels as well as mega packs. So these 4 chargers that they're putting in, probably some of the reason that some of them are going to be a little bit later is because they involve just more than putting in the charging stalls. There's going to be solar and battery storage systems involved with all 4 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, you know, more charging infrastructure is always a great thing. I suspect, you know, one of the reasons why Tesla is now putting CCS on some of these units too is that helps them qualify for government funding a little bit easier now. A lot of government funding is tied to being able to serve all EVs. And this also helps them to better monetize their network to a greater audience as well too. So it'll help Tesla recoup some of the costs for having these charging infrastructure as well, which is good. It's good to see that Tesla is opening up their network a little bit more to other people, and it shows that they are trying to expand electrification on a general scale, which is good. My personal preference, though, is I'm not a huge fan of these mega sites, personally, because I would rather see, you know, instead of one site with 164 chargers, I'd rather see, you know, 14 sites with 12 chargers to get a little bit more diversified charging in different spots. And the reason why I do that is because, if the power goes out in this area, now you've got 164 stalls that are all down. So personally, versus if you have, this dispersed over 14 different smaller stations, if the power goes out in an area, you might knock out one or two, but then it doesn't have a big impact on the overall infrastructure. So, but other than that, it's a great, great step forward. More infrastructure is great.
I can definitely see that, Eric. But the other thing I will point out is that these locations are in California, which is the most EV centric state or province in North America. That they're the 5th largest economy when it comes to a state or province, and they certainly need as many chargers as they can get because there's lineups everywhere. So. But I don't think we'll see any of this in Ontario anytime soon. But it is interesting to see what California, who's of course leading the pack, is what their plans are.
Yeah, I guess my reference is like your gas stations. You don't see too many mega gas stations unless you're at a Buc-ee's in Texas or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You might see a gas station with a ton of gas stalls too. So.
Yeah. I at Christmas time, I want to see 164 Model X's doing the light show, the Falcon Wing. That'll be a sight. That'll be really cool to see. All right. So, going back closer to home, this is Hammond Bus. They've been a company, a family company, around since the 40s, and they are now getting 10 electric buses from Lion, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, relatively local bus company to us, sort of the Muskokas type area, Simcoe, Parry Sound, Haliburton, Algonquin. They sort of serve that area right now, and it's good to see that some of these companies are starting to see the benefits of going electric, and they're starting to run down that path. So they're starting with 10 buses, but they said they have a plan to expand that out and continue to grow that to electrify their fleet. So it's good to see. This will help reduce costs, and not only that, but it keeps especially kids who are more susceptible oftentimes to emissions than even adults are. Get them away from those diesel fumes and stuff like that as well from these idling buses. So. Yeah,
absolutely, and good to see they're buying from a Quebec-based company, Lion C. So that's another benefit to the Canadian workforce. Lion C is making a lot of headway with their buses, and at this point, even some of their service trucks are coming. The delivery trucks themselves are also being prevalent at different shows for the transportation industry. So kudos to them as they continue to expand out the electrification of, I guess, delivery vehicles.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep. More great news for Canada, and like you say, with jobs, and and also too, it was in the article that I read too, like Eric had mentioned, for kids who one of the biggest factor that a child goes to the hospital is asthma, and so this is just one thing to help them not having to breathe in those emissions. I remember that as a kid going on the school bus, and always that smell, and I think as a kid we're like, oh, that's cool, that smell, but now it's not so much. I still know people like, I like the smell of gas. I'm like, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, you might like the smell of it, but you might not like what it does to you later on. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, now this one is really interesting, especially too because I have friends who are like Jeep nuts, and they are like, when are these guys going to go in with electrification? And I actually talked to someone recently, went to IKEA Burlington, and was charging his Jeep, and he said in the summer he's getting about 50 kilometers of range. Not bad. He said for him it worked for like when he goes to work and stuff, and great, it's a start. So anyways, Mark, tell us a little bit more about this.
Yeah, certainly Jeep has a plug-in Jeep that Ian has mentioned. I kind of look at this in I looked at that as kind of the gateway drug, as we talk about often. Getting Jeep owners involved with an electric vehicle allows them to see the benefits of it. So get butts in seats, and then it will progress. Now, Jeep or Stellantis, who's the company that owns them, they're being forced into electrification. Let's not cut too much slack here. We've heard about the past president in Europe who was very down on electric vehicles. In fact, going so far as to tell reporters don't buy them from us because they cost us money. So there's been a checkered history with Stellantis and electrification. Hopefully, that is now being routed out of the company, and going forward, they're seeing the writing on the wall as other manufacturers have already seen. The world is moving to electrification, and those that will not get on board will be left behind. So Stellantis has made the move forward, and of course, Jeep, being part of Stellantis, is going to have to follow that as well. And they're coming up with some nice looking vehicles, concept vehicles at this point, that they're pushing to be an all electrification frame. So unlike the plug-in, they're going to full electric, as the whole industry is. And they're going to have some interesting looking options. We all know, I've got a couple of people in my neighborhood that are Jeep fanatics. And I hope that once they see the benefits of electrification in a Jeep, they'll never want to go back. Certainly for us, with other vehicles, it worked that same way. And of course, in a Jeep setting where you're using that thing off-road, you're using it on steep grades, you're using it, as in this picture, you're going over boulders and rocks and creek beds, having that instant torque and quicker to the wheel torque is I would think would be a huge plus for anyone that likes to put these vehicles through their paces. So I just think it's going to take a few of the upper echelon people that make videos and talk about Jeeps and go on these adventures. Once they have a chance to drive one of these fully electric Jeeps, I think it will not take long for the rest of them to follow along, because the benefits far outweigh what any negatives may be. Charging infrastructure may be one thing when you're out in the middle of the desert. You're certainly going to have to plan for that. But for most don't take those vehicles, for a 12-day excursion out in the desert. What they're doing is they're weekend warriors. They head out for a Saturday or a Sunday, and they drive around. There's exceptions to the rule always, but I think it's a great marriage for Jeep owners to be electrified. And it looks like Jeep and Stellantis are heading in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is a positive direction. Obviously, one that's been on the wall for a long time. I think this roots back to Mark, you talk about how some of the anti-EV rhetoric. I think that dates back to sort of the FCA days of the company, the FCA elements of the company, when they merged with PSA, which is the Peugeot group out of Europe, basically. PSA actually had a very strong electric platform and very strong electrification. So I would say PSA is actually one of the companies in Europe that has electrified the quickest. And they offer a huge range of electric models in Europe today. They're obviously not big in North America. In fact, they don't sell anything in North America, PSA. But now they've merged with FCA, which also had a large European and North American presence, of course, through the old Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep brands. Now they have this huge portfolio and huge electric expertise to draw upon to build these platforms now. And as you said, the writing is on the wall. They now see they have to go electric. And with Jeep and going off-road, having that instant torque is a benefit. But none of that, but that torque is incredibly controllable as well, too. So now you can more precisely control that torque, but not just in a positive fashion, but you can also do it in a negative fashion. So you can apply negative torque to your wheels in the form of regeneration, and you can use that now for downhill descents and things like that as well too. And you can control that in a very precise manner for hill descent control and things such as that as well too. So you can make extremely fine-tuned and extremely great off-road vehicles with this with electrification. So huge benefits for Jeep. It's pretty clear there, and it's a positive step in the right direction.
Yeah. Don't underestimate those boulders and creek beds. My last trip to Mexico, Chevy Cavalier, I did that with the creek beds and the boulders, no problem. And just had a little bit of a slow leak on one of the tires, but Mexico's great for that stuff.
I didn't
Anyways,
know they
it's
made
good to
a
see-
monster Chevy Cruze.
Yeah, exactly. But it's great to see with Jeep doing this, and also too, the last comment was by, right directly from them, and it's good to see that they're saying, no, we're actually going all in and moving forward with this. And of course, I think as both of you have mentioned, the Jeep enthusiasts, when they see the potential off-roading wise, going down hills, like all the different things that they can do with the electrification and the control, I think they're going to love it even more. And also, too, if you went in the desert, you're going to be carrying jerry cans of gas. Where in the desert, you also could take some solar panels and charge up your vehicle as well if you really wanted to. So, it's an either or really type of deal. So.
I would certainly,
All right.
for marketing for Jeep, I would say when you do those auto shows where you've got the boulder wall that the Jeep climbs up, bring a few of those electric vehicles to that, because getting present Jeep owners to try an electrified vehicle in those settings will go a long way to selling those vehicles immediately.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So, all right. Our final little talk tonight for this podcast is kind of a shout out to the Ken Sealing Waterloo Region Museum. I went there yesterday, and I encourage residents in the KW, Cambridge, Guelph area to come down and to check it out. They had everything from like a flywheel that they even have like a Conestoga College professor who made a scale of, I think, 8-to-1 woodworked scale of 8-to-1 of this flywheel that was used for mixing rubber compounds. It was quite interesting. But then as we went on, we came across this, which was the original electrification of what Kitchener was formerly known as, which was Berlin in 1910. And so you can see here, and they had this sign, hydropower, and they actually had the button that you could push. And so at the time, this politician was going to press this button, and the lady who presented the button to him to present and turn on the power, actually he said, "Nope, you can do it." And the lady pushed the button, and all of a sudden we had lights. Kitchener or Berlin was now electrified. And what I find interesting about this is 1910. That's only 110 years ago. When you really think about the grand scheme of things, that's not very long ago. And what was interesting about this exhibit as well is this was known as selling white coal, because this gentleman, Daniel Detweller, they had his bicycle there, and he would go and meet farmers on his bicycle to convince them to allow the power company to run electric lines from Niagara Falls to Waterloo Region. And how do you explain to someone what electricity is? Like, you can't touch it, you can't really smell it, you can't see it necessarily. You can see the effects of it when it's being used. So, is this white coal, white snake oil? I can it would be really interesting to be, if you could go back in time in a time machine and actually watch this guy on his bike saying, hey, we want to put this like pole up, which has these lines that carry this thing called electricity. And, oh, well, what do you use electricity for? Oh, well, just wait, because we have an exhibit for that. Here is the cart showing a wringer washer, a grinder, a cow milking machine, a butter churner. And guess what? The electricity does the work for you. You don't have to worry about churning butter for, forever. And again, I wish I could go back in time to see some of this stuff. And of course, what also was interesting about this, of course, we know electric cars with batteries was just before the 1900s, and so electricity kind of was still a thing, but it wasn't. People still didn't have this really in their homes. This is really quite a transition, and you know, convincing people like this is what's going to make your life better. And I just I found the exhibit really interesting, and I encourage people to go check it out.
Ian, if I could get you to flip back to that previous photo of the sign of hydropower on the
This is on
streetscape.
King Street in Water.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
King.
Is that King Street in downtown Kitchener?
Yep. And you know what? I'm looking at it now, and I'm taking a guess. It's King near Queen Street, I think. Maybe Ontario, because
Okay.
I'm looking at the building on the right-hand side. There's something about that building. It looks familiar, especially with the windows and the curvature. I'll have to go for a walk and take a look and see if I can find that.
That's very cool though. Like you said, 110 years to get from the beginning of electricity to where we are today. Not a lot of time when you really look at it over, you know, our history. It's something that has progressed rather quickly. But then again, a lot of things have happened in 110 years as well. You know, going from a Kitty Hawk flight in a paper mache plane to landing on the moon, and now sending rockets beyond. So yeah, it's interesting. The pace of technology is incredible.
Yeah, and you can see the original LRT in this picture as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Not made by Bombardier, I'm sure.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Anyways, yeah.
Very good. Very good. Well,
Right.
we thank everyone for joining us this evening or afternoon or morning, whenever you're watching. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up on the video. Press that subscribe if you would like to be alerted for new videos. We've added a couple of new ones recently, blasts from the past. So I've found a few different videos that we've had from previous years that I've been uploading. I got a few more to share with the audience as well. So we'll be adding those every week or so. So keep your eye out for that. And that's another reason to subscribe. It helps us out. That thumbs up helps us out as well. Gets us in front of more eyeballs. And we certainly appreciate you being out there and participating with that. Also, you can follow us through the week, through the other weeks of the month, through our Twitter feed. That is WREVA Group, at WREVA Group, and you can follow us there as well as on our Facebook feed. Just look up WREVA Group on Facebook, and it will come up as well. You'll see our nice little logo with the green car and the plug, and you'll know it's us. So with that, shout outs for this evening. Have you got any shout outs for us, Ian?
Well, I'm wearing my Rush shirt because, I mean, everyone knows I'm a huge Rush fan, but I'm actually giving a shout out to, today would have been Neil Peart's 70th birthday. And if I had some Macallan scotch, I would hold that up and give him a toast. But Neil was a avid cyclist and motorcyclist, and he wrote some interesting travel logs, books. Roadshow is a lot of fun with him motorbiking between the shows and that, and then also Ghost Rider, which was a very personal tragedy that happened to him, and he got on his motorbike and drove basically North America. So I give him a little shout out. I think if he was around today, he might be that guy on the Harley Livewire driving around and checking out some of the electric motorbikes that are out today. Anyways, cheers to him.
Very good, very good. Eric, any shout outs from you this evening?
I guess the only shout out I might have right now is maybe with the passing of Queen Elizabeth. I think I'll just talk about the royal family and their history with electric cars right now. And Prince Charles drives a Model S, and I think, or King Charles, I should say now.
That's right.
And Prince William has been seen, driving a Audi e-tron. So it's good to see that even the royal family sporting the electric cars, and hopefully they will continue to push in that direction as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Very cool.
Very good. All right, everyone. Thanks very much. And we'll catch you next month for more REVA news. If you haven't signed up for National Drive Electric Week, please do. We're only a couple weeks away, October the 1st, Saturday in Waterloo. Check us out on the website. Just do a search on it, and we will see you there, if not at the next Electrifying News. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Have a good night.